ora ci parlerà proprio di crisi e in modo diverso Anitta Underlin, che ci parlerà proprio della crisi umanitaria e di come la stiamo affrontando come movimento internazionale. Tra l'altro guida un progetto molto importante di cui ci parlerà lei stessa, e alla fine del tuo intervento, Anitta, ci sarà anche un video. Allora, Anitta, tu parli da qui o preferisci parlare di là? Allora, mentre prende posto, Anitta, la presento. Anitta Underlin è direttore della zona Europa della Federazione Internazionale delle Società di Croce Rossa e Mezzaluna Rossa. Si occupa di supportare le attività umanitarie svolte in 53 paesi facenti parte della zona. È laureata in Scienze Sociali ed Economia. Ha ricoperto diversi ruoli presso istituzioni, tra i quali il Ministero degli Affari Esteri della Danimarca e il Ministero della Salute dell'Uganda. Questo, Anitta, non lo sapevo. Tra gli incarichi che ha svolto per la Federazione Internazionale è stata capo ufficio di varie delegazioni regionali, ha svolto numerosissime missioni in Albania, Sudan, Uganda, Kenya, India, Nepal, ed è stata ideatrice del network Red Vivo. Lo dico con, come dire, col sorriso, perché sono anch'io stata coinvolta, ringrazierò Anitta finché campo, in questo network Red Vivo. Red Vivo è per la promozione dell'uguaglianza di genere all'interno del movimento internazionale di Croce Rossa e Mezzaluna Rossa. Grazie Anitta, e soprattutto la ringrazio perché Anitta è una grande amica della Croce Rossa italiana, lo dico nel senso che quando di aiuto si chiama Anitta e ci dà un supporto, un aiuto, un suggerimento, ma soprattutto per me è un grande maestro e penso che lo sia per tutti noi. Grazie Anitta, a te la parola.
Buongiorno. Normally I would start a speech with excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. But today I will say, dear friends, it's really a privilege for me to be here with you. When we launched the report, Think Differently, 2 months ago in Rome, describing the humanitarian impact of the economic crisis, one colleague from Spanish Red Cross had a very interesting observation. He mentioned how the crisis have changed the Spanish Red Cross throughout, including all their branches. A few years ago, a local branch office was mainly a meeting place and a training room for first aid courses and so on. Then the branches started to be more open to the public, to the people affected by the crisis. In the first place, the branches started school programs, helping kids to get a meal and some support for their homework after their school. Then they started to expand their opening hours for social counseling, vocational training, and other issues, and now many branches in Spain are also open in the early mornings to offer breakfast to children before they go to school to learn. So what he said was that today branch offices have turned into social centers. Now, when you read the newspapers, when you watch the television, we generally talk a lot about figures and statistics. But our report is titled Think Differently because it's important that we constantly think about the people behind the figures. It's people like you and me that has to bear the burden of this crisis that is hitting millions of people across Europe. People are affected by the crisis, and it's also people who are trying to help them. People like yourself, people who are our staff, who are our volunteers, who are members, people who want to do a difference, people who want to give a helping hand in difficult times. Our Europe today is changing very rapidly. The life of our families, our neighbors, and even our norms are changing. And we need to be aware of these changes, and we need to be prepared to understand what it means such that we can help even in a better way. That's why that there was no hesitation when I was invited for this gathering. I think it's extremely important to dedicate time together to reflect on how can the organization develop to be better to tackle the day-to-day challenges that will come in the coming year. In our report, we interviewed 42 national societies across Europe, and we identified 5 major trends. These trends are also relevant for Italy. The first one is what we call the poor are getting poorer. It means that the gap in the society between the ones who have and the ones who haven't are getting bigger. And the journey for the poor, for the vulnerable, back to be vulnerable citizens in their own country are getting very long these days. The next trend we talk about is the new poor. You know them. It's low-income families with children. They might use all their money to pay for rental of an apartment, for heating, electricity. And when it comes to put food on the table or to buy new clothes for their children, there's simply no money left. These are the people that in many instances for the first time in their life will turn to the Red Cross to ask for assistance. The weakening health. What we unfortunately see across Europe is that governments are cutting on health budgets and on social care budgets. We know research has shown that in the time of crisis, the demand for healthcare services, both physical and psychosocial, is growing. And therefore it's extremely important, and we do appeal to government to keep up the budget for health and for social-related issues. We know, unfortunately, that the rate of suicide is increasing along with the crisis are peaking. This can be prevented if we are in a situation to allocate resources to take care about that. The fourth trend is linked to migration and mobility. And I don't think there is a country in our part of Europe which knows more about that in reality than Italy. Italy is taking a big burden to receive many of the migrants that are leaving their own country in search of a better life, and that put a pressure on communities and all of us. Finally, the fifth trend is the unemployment. You know, in Europe today, we have countries where more than 50% of our young people are not in education nor in work. This is a big problem for any country that would face such a situation. Now, during this National Jump Conference, many of these topics within this 5 heading will be tackled in many of the extreme interesting workshops. I really regret that I don't speak Italian, so I cannot participate in all these workshops. I think they are so interesting. I was really amazed. So I think it's a fantastic opportunity to discuss priorities at branch level. What is it that is most important? We say in the report that in order to act differently, we must first think differently. Again, I feel this sentence is very connected to Italian Red Cross. Over the past 4 years, the Italian Red Cross has gone through an extensive reform process aimed at building a modern and well-functioning national society, both at national and international level, in full accordance with principles and rules for the international movement. Among the main achievements of this reform process is the adoption of the strategic objectives and the new statutes. And outside my speaking notes, I have had the honor to accompany that process, and I must say that I'm really impressed, and Italian Red Cross is indeed a model for many other national societies on how to do this in a good way. Now, the Italian Red Cross has proven that you are able to adapt your humanitarian activities to the changing needs of a complex and evolving society. And you are not bringing only change in your structure, but more importantly in the mindset of the staff, the volunteers, the members at all levels. And that I really pay high credit to. It's not an easy thing. We are stuck in the past, so it demands courage to embark on the journey into an unknown future. Again, you are showing a very, very good example. Next year, 2014, it's a very important year for Italian Red Cross. First of all, it's a big birthday coming up, 150 years anniversary of the creation of the Red Cross in Italy. But it's also the year where Italian Red Cross again will show its support towards our federation by hosting both the European Conference in June in Florence, and prior to that, the European Youth Coordination Meeting. So we all look forward to that, to come to Florence in June next year. And again, the slogan for that conference will be Act Differently. So again, you are showing the way for the other 52 national societies that will come here and participate in the conference. Now, a part of the Italian Red Cross work in building is building a strong national society. But a strong national society is also engaging internationally. And we see Italian Red Cross taking more and more responsibility and taking action in relation to the affairs of the Federation, showing its commitment and support at an international level in very many ways. And again, as we talked about earlier, the election of Francesco as the vice president of one of the 5 vice presidents in the Federation, and the support that the Italian Red Cross are giving to the youth coordination, the whole development of the youth in the Federation, is an example of how Italian Red Cross beyond its own borders are showing its impact and giving guidance to the rest of the movement. Now, looking to the future, we have tried in our report to take stock of, from a humanitarian angle, where are we now? How is the reality across Europe? What are ordinary people saying that this crisis are affecting? How is it affecting them and their daily life? We don't know how our world will look in 4-5 years' time. It's always guesswork. We are trying to find solutions based on the highest level of information as we have. Now, what we are saying and what we are often asked about is, do you think that the next year will see an increase of social unrest? Now, it's clear, and we have seen in a number of countries, many people going to the street to voice their concern, to voice their unhappiness, to tell their governments, we want you to act, we want you to help us. So yes, there might be a risk of social unrest. But What we have also seen, unfortunately, is what we call the quiet desperation. Many people are sitting at home feeling that it's their own mistake that they have lost their job, that they have lost their house, that maybe their family has broken up. So we have two extremes. We have the vocal demonstrations on the street, which we have to deal with, and we have yet also thousands of people sitting home needing a helping hand, which often come from their own community where the Red Cross or the Red Crescent are present. I stay here in front of you today. I'm really humbled to be here. It's impressive to stand here at the scene, and as far as you can see all the red uniforms. And now the light is going down, you see the reflex of everybody. I hope you will allow me to feel like one of you. I have been coming to Italy for 6 years, and I've always been impressed by the dedication, the engagement, and the rapid response that you deliver in all situations. The first time I met Francesco, by the way, was in Abruzzo, in the earthquake. I came 1 week after, and I'd heard a lot about Francesco. And who did I see? I saw a man coming out in the red uniform like everybody else, having slept in a tent for 7 days in order to be near to the action and to lead and help where he could. This, for me, is really the spirit of the Italian Red Cross, which impresses me time after time. With this, I have reached the end of what I had planned to say. In relation to the report we did, we also had a film crew that went around to 5 different countries to talk with ordinary people that had been affected by the crisis, to hear their story, to get a human face of what does that actually mean in real terms. And with the Italian colleagues here, we have done a cut such that the part of the documentary with focus on Italy will be shown, and you will hear Mario tell what has this crisis meant for him, his family, and his children. I hope you will enjoy it, because it signifies the important work each of you and all of us are doing. Thank you very much.
Brava! Grande Anitta.